In this video, we will see how to create a cloth simulation. Here, we will start with simulations here for the first time. So you have little things to understand before starting simulations in Blender, where to find the options. And basically, you have two places for that. You have here into the Scene tab, you can find some gravity here. So it's an important value because by default, it's the Earth's gravity. Okay, so you can play with this or even remove gravity in some cases. Maybe we will see that later. And here you have the simulation here if you want to range the simulation in case. And here the rigid body world. It's when you use rigid bodies, and it will be the third video of this chapter. Here you have another tab that is important, is the physics tab. Okay, so it's here that you tell this object, for example, could be a fluid or a rigid body or a cloth or a dynamic paint. We will not see all these options. It would require an entire course, but already the most important ones, at least the rigid body, the cloth, and the particles. Okay, and even here you have a third one that are simulations as well. It's the particles here, especially dynamic particles. You can use particles to create some hairs or some furs or things like that, but you can create some particles to make some dust in the air, or to make some sparkles, or to make maybe asteroid fields or things like that. And that's what we will do in the next video, an asteroid field with their settings here. So this is more specific, and we will see that in the second video. First of all, let's see how to work basically with two objects with the cloth simulation. Okay, with the cloth simulation. So here, what we will do, we'll just add a simple mesh UV sphere to have something more interesting than a cube, and in terms of shape. And here we will add a plane just above it with GZ like that. Okay, so here I can tell my plane to be a cloth. Okay, and as I want, if I just play the simulation now, okay, it will just tell that this plane is a cloth, and so it's influenced by gravity, so it goes down. But as you can see, it goes across this sphere here. So here it goes across because I didn't tell the simulation to be this, okay, a collision. Good. And now, and you can see that it doesn't have the shape of cloth that we want. So why that? Because we don't have enough subdivision into that mesh here. Because if you have only 4 vertices, it will not affect, it cannot affect the shape of this object. Okay, so what we will do, we'll just go into edit mode and make a subdivide a few times with Shift R just to add enough subdivision to work with. Okay, and now we play the simulation, and Blender will start to make something interesting finally. Good. So this already is a very good way to create new shapes and to make this in a static way. For example, if you want to put a curtain somewhere, or maybe a towel that you want to put on the wall or something like that, it's very easy to do just like this. And in the end, you have just a modifier here. As you can see, you have a modifier. And if I apply this as a shape key, we did C shape keys together already, we can see that now into the shape key tab, we have the cloth that I can transform basically directly like that. Okay, so like this, I can just have this shape if needed. More I add subdivisions into my settings. Okay, I come back to the cloth and I put back the cloth because I did apply it. Okay, so I will put back this. And if I increase the subdivision here, okay, again, I will have a better simulation, but this will take more, will start to make more time, to take more time here. Okay, what we can see is that we have here some strange here falls here. It's because it's over the mesh inside it. As you can see, it creates a loop over the mesh. So what you can do for remove this problem here is playing with the collisions here. You have the quality of the collisions and all these options. Here you can play with the self collision, okay? And if I put back here, you should have nothing strange now, because yeah, the object will not go through himself like this, okay? So now if I can make a shade smooth here, I will have something decent to play with, okay? So just to add some towers or things like that into your scene can be very easy. Or yeah, something on the bed or on a sofa, just to make it a little more realistic, it can work very well. You have different possibilities to play with this, okay? So here you see that you have some presets that are already made. So what we will do, just to see how it works, basically, we will come back into the beginning of the frame here of the animation, and we will duplicate these two objects into the x-axis, just like this, okay? And Shift R, Shift R, Shift R. Like this, we will have the 5 presets that I can show you directly. Here, I will put the preset cotton. Here, I will put the preset denim. Here, I will put the leather. And here, I will put the rubber. And here, the silk. And if we play this simulation here, you see that it takes already more time. But you see that you have really different interactions between the two objects, and the folds will be different. Here we can really see the rubber or things like that. So yeah, it's really effective to work directly with these presets. So here you can see that we have 5 different shapes, and it really depends of your scene and what you want to do. Sometimes more you subdivide the object, and more you have folds as well, so be careful with that. What we could do is make a little some little exercises with this, just to show you something a little different, not only just basic things like that. So let's say we would like to make a tent or something like this. What we can do, and first of all, I have to show you something before continue to the tent. Okay, so I will delete that. And there is here into the options, you can see that you have the shape here. And into the shape tab, you have the pin group. So what is a pin group? Basically, it says that the vertices that you will put into that group will not move. So let's say, for example, you have someone that take these vertices over there, and just to tell that you have a character that keep the tower, something like that. Okay, so let's go there and create a new vertex group. Okay, you just have to paint it. So you go into waypaint mode and you just paint over there. Okay, maybe here like this, and maybe here like this. Okay, so this vertex like this will not move now. I just have to come back into the options of the physics and go back here into the pin group and select the group. You can rename that group if needed. For example, you can call it pin group, or whatever name you want to put it, or to put at it. And now here you can find the pin group over there. Okay, so now if I play my animation, these vertices will not move. Okay, so it could be very simple with this technique to put a tower on the wall, for example. Let's say you want to do these kind of things. What you just have to do here, you just have to add, for example, here, I will just delete this group. Okay, I remove that one and I create a new one I just go into weight paint, and maybe I will go there on top view here, and I will remove this one. I will just put these ones here, over here, okay? So now you put back this into the physics, don't forget it, or it will not work. And I will just move the sphere over there. Good. Now, what you can see is that after maybe a few, you just have to wait the right frame. Okay, let's say you have the frame that you like here, and you keep that one. And look at this. You put this on the wall, it looks perfect. Okay. So just to play with static objects works very well too. You can animate the other objects if needed. Like for example here, let's say you have this object that will be here. And that will be animated. So maybe I will put a key into that. So you can play with key animations as well. Okay. And let's say here it will be there. And I insert a key. So now it will play directly with this and move the tower like this. Okay, so you can create really interesting shapes and really interesting animations. It will work. You can put some clauses into a character very easily like that, the same way. But now let's create the tent. So let's go with the tent. And here what we will have is just this kind of shape like this. Okay. So what we will do is create the shape of the tent. So I will just go into edit mode, add a loop over there, and with GZ make this kind of here. Okay, let's go for camping. And now we would like to add some subdivisions into that. So be careful to have only squares when you make the subdivisions as much as possible. So maybe, for example, here, it will need a subdivision of 2 over there and a subdivision of 4 to have something squarish. I will make the same here, okay, to have this kind. And now you can subdivide it finally to not have these stretch faces. And now just with right click and subdivide, I will have enough subdivision to work with, okay? So now I will just want to add more groups here, and it will be over there that I will play with that. So let's say you will have a group here. You can play with X symmetry if needed, like this. You don't have to paint the other side, just like so. Okay, here might be important as well. Another one here. Let's say we have a pillar over there. Okay, we have something good here, and we want something near here as well. Maybe this one's too big. Let's just go with the symmetry like this, and the same here. Good. So let's say we have these groups. Now we can play our simulation. So be careful of the here when you add the clause. Okay, be careful to just put the group into the pin group and just go with here the clause system that you want. Okay, the clause preset that you want. So you can play with that. Let's play with basic option over there. So we see that we have overlapping here. So what we can do, we just go into the collisions, enable self collisions. It might take a little more time. As you can see, it starts to work well. Okay, so basically we have the shape of the tent with the nice fold that we want. Okay. Now if we just make a shade smooth on it and add some maybe a modifier solidify here just to have this little thickness, and we have it. So very easily to add objects like that. Let's play maybe with something more animated, because this might be a static object in the end. Maybe we can make a flag with that, okay, with that technique. So let's go with this. Just create a basic scene like a cylinder here. I will just add a cylinder with a very low radius, okay, and a big depth, okay. So let's create this. We might add maybe some toruses here, so to create the hooks. So I will go there and maybe put one here, and maybe put one here. Good. So now we have the basic shape that we want. Now we would like to add a plane. Good. So let's make a X 90 degrees, go into the right scale, or something near here might be good. Over there might be good as well. So I can scale this or just put it here with GX to have the shape of the flag that we want. Okay, so now as I told already, I need something more squarish, so I will subdivide by 2 here and by 1 here. Like this, I will have squares, and I can subdivide this mesh a few times, maybe until I have this kind of definition. I mean, you need to have enough definition to work with, so maybe I will just make a subdivision simple by selecting everything, and with Shift R it might be easier to go to the subdivision that I want. Something like that might be good. We will see that if we need to increase or decrease, but it should be okay. Now we can go into this section here, create a new vertex group, grow into here the weight paint mode, and just here add a red shape over there and add a red shape over there. What might work well in that project, for example, would be this. You could add another one here just to create the basic shape of another ring. So let's make a Shift D RX 90 degrees, scale it down a little, put it here. Okay, something like that. And we can make the same over there with Shift D Z and basically put it into the right place. So we'll have something like that. Let's go for this. Now I will go into the close simulation. Okay, create the self collision, create here the pin group into the shape. Okay, and go back into the first frame that it might look better. So let's go there and see how it looks now. So you can see that you have basically something that will work. To make it a little better, what we might want to do, we might add some wind. And it's time to show you some new things with this, because you have some force fields here that you can play with. So you have some force, some wind, some vortex, some magnetic. You can play with all those things here to add more life to your simulations here. What I will do, I will just add some wind. Okay, you can see it's a basic wind with a direction here. I can increase the strength of the wind, or I can just go and make the rotation look how I want. Like for example, I would like something that goes, yeah, let's say somewhere like that. And you have the options here into the physics tab, the strength of the wind. So directly I can go over 500, I would say, to have something really strong. And I can play after with the settings of the cloth here to have something lighter. So maybe we can play with the silk and see how it will look already. Might be not strong enough. We can see that we have a little wind, but it's really not strong. So maybe we'll multiply this by 10, 5,000. Okay. We start to see something that works well. Okay. And now look at this. You have a nice animation of a cloth, of a flag here directly. So you just have now to add a little image or a logo or whatever you want, and you can put really what you need into that. You can play with the flow here. The noise amount might create more interesting shapes as well. So if you play with there's options here, might be interesting. I maybe will multiply by 2 again to have something really strong. Yeah, something like that will look better. I will select this object and make a shade smooth, and you will have basically what you want. Okay. So very easily, as you can see, you can create interesting things with this. As I said, even on animated objects or animated characters, it will work. But be careful. It might increase a lot the memory that you will use for this project. Okay. So that's it for creating interesting cloth simulations. We will continue for the next video and play with the particles. And for the particles, we will go into space and create a nice space scene with asteroid field. In this video, we will create a nice space scene and we will discover particles. So we'll create an asteroid field. The first thing that we might think of, that we might take care of, it's here adding a UV sphere. This will be our basic planet here. So maybe I will scale this up 5 times, okay? Make a shade smooth, okay? Add a subdivision matte with Ctrl 2 here, just to have a basic planet here. So this one will be our planet. Nice. Now we can add something else. It will be the generator of the asteroids. So it might be something near here, okay, let's say. So it will create the asteroids, and the asteroids will go somewhere around here, the sphere, to create a nice circular shape like that. So this is what we want to create over there, okay? So I will just make Ctrl Z. We will continue with that. So this one will be generator, okay? And here we will add in a new collection, we will create some really basic objects to make the asteroids. So we'll go with simple things in the beginning, and then in the end, if I have time, I will create the entire space and everything with the texturing that might make the entire scene looks better. But for now, we'll just play with basic things. So let's go with here it will be the asteroids, okay? And I will just hide the first 2 here, and I will add there. Here you have into the extra, you have the rock generator, as you can see. It creates basic object just like that. What I want to do is go into the detail near just one, might be enough for this. We might increase the roughness to have something a little more interesting. Let's say near 3 might look good, okay? So just to have this. And so we will create not only one rock, but we will create maybe 8 different shapes to have something more interesting in the end. Okay. So let's play with a new seed until we have some interesting shapes over there. Okay. So let's say we have this. What we can do is just with GX move all these objects to see a little the shapes that they have, okay, and see if it will work well. In my opinion, it looks good. So let's play with that. Okay, maybe some are too similar. I would say that these two here are really too similar. So what you can do, you can just create really different shapes just by going here and just move one vertex as it's still here something that is made with modifier, so it's non-destructive here, so don't hesitate to create more crazy shapes here over there. Okay, it might make the shapes more random like this. Okay, and then you can apply all the modifiers. So to apply a lot of modifiers, you can see that you have already a lot of modifiers in a lot of objects. So what you can do, you can go into edit preferences, go into the add-ons here and search for modifiers. If you don't have it, you go into get extensions and you put it here. So you will find the modifier tools. You install that. And when it's installed, you will have a list here. So you can just use the apply all for all these objects. Okay, and now you will have this just like that. So I recommend you to apply these modifiers like this. It will not slow down too much the scene. Okay. So this we can hide it for now and go now start to make our basic simulation. So for this we have the particle system. The particle system is not in the list here, but it's very powerful simulation system that can create animated duplicated objects with some options. So let's go there and we will just add a particle system over there. So basically what it's make, it will make 1000 particles. The frame start at 1, frame finished at 200, and the lifetime will be 50. So basically it will look like this. It will create some particles, okay, and there will be 1000 as a total. They will have a lifetime of 50. That's why they stop there. If I increase the lifetime here, you can see that they will continue more and go more here like this. Okay. And here you have basically the frame start and the frame end. Okay. So what we will do, we will create a simulation with, let's say, 500 frames. Okay. So we'll play until 500 here. And we will continue by increasing the lifetime because we don't want the lifetime to be only 100. So maybe we will play with 500 like this. We are sure that they will continue to live the entire scene. And basically, maybe we will not want to play with these settings. Maybe until here might look enough, until 200 and after stopping. So like this, the end of the simulation will play after with the particle that will continue to live. Okay, good. So what we can do now, as we have this, we can create some motion into that. So by default, you can see that the particles goes out from the sphere, from the faces of the sphere. And here you have the source options. So you see that they go out from those faces and with some distribution objects here, distribution options here. you have some velocity that you can put into it. So if you increase the velocity into the normals, for example, you will have something that will make more velocity to go out from this object, and after with the gravity they will go down. As we are in a sphere, as we are in space here, we don't want gravity, so we'll go into the sand properties, into the gravity, and remove it by put everything at 0 here. Now it will make something different. As you can see, the particles will go out like this and no gravity, so we will have start of something. Now we would like to add a force field. So this force field will be a vortex, and this vortex will be in the center of the planet here. So just to be sure of the orientation, okay, the orientation is good. Maybe you can rotate this a little to see a little how it will look with this shape. Okay, it's not that bad. So it will basically turn around this object now, as you can see. What is good is sometimes animate this object itself. You can see that it will create nice motions and can be sometimes interesting as well, okay? Something that can be important as well is adding some noise into that. So sometimes it's inside the object itself. So if you go into the physics here, you will see some noise amount. So you can increase that. Let's go in 10, something a little crazy. You can see that it creates something really strong. Me, what I like to do and I prefer to work with this option here. I prefer to work with just the turbulence here. So you just increase the strength of it. Let's go with 20 and we will see, yeah, basically it gives better results in my opinion, okay? So just increase the strength until you find something that is good, okay? You can see that now the direction of the asteroids are more interesting, okay? So maybe it's a little too much and create too crazy shape now, but let's keep it at 20. I would say that it will create something interesting, okay? Good. We have a little too much. We have a little too much here. Velocity, I would say that we could keep that at 5 maybe, or even 3. Like this, we will keep the shape that looks better. Nice. So what we would like now is to create something. You can see that now we have nice motion. So yeah, it looks good basically. We can keep that. Maybe decrease a little the turbulence because it's too much again. Maybe decrease it at 10. Okay. And now we will keep this motion and yeah, basically it looks nice. The next thing that we want to do is to create the shape. So by default is just some basic particles that will not look good in render. What we want is have the asteroid. So let's go for this and we go into the here the particle settings of this object. Now we will go into the render tab. The render tab by default is halo, but you can create object if you want, or an entire collection, and that's what we want to do. So let's create this option and select the asteroid collection. So now we have the asteroids. You can play with the extras here and play with the scale as well. So the scale and the scale randomness are important here. You can increase the basic scales of all the objects, and you can decrease the scale, increase the scale randomness to have some big and some little, okay? Something like that might look good. Maybe I increase a little this. Good. So now we have something interesting. In case you want, you can even add some collision objects. Like for example, let's say that we have another planet here and that this planet is here and it will go through. So what you can do, you can just go there into the physics tab and play with the collision, okay? And you see that you have some particle options, so it will work with particles. What you can even do is say that, let's say we play the animation now, you can see that they will bond into this object now. So it can be interesting in some cases. Or you can tell they will explode and disappear into the atmosphere, so you can kill the particles. And each time they will touch, they will just disappear. Okay? So some will go through, but not too much. So it can be interesting in some cases. But basically, here, what we would want to continue with, here is the options of the particles here, is play with the rotation of the objects here. They are really not that interesting here. So we would like self-rotation into that. You can see that here I didn't change anything, so it didn't update. So what you just have to do in that case, if it doesn't update like that, you just go there and change a little something here, like for example here like that, and now it should look good. You just play a little with a slider and it will come back into it. It will update. Good. So now we have basically what we want. As I said, we want to play with the rotation. So let's go back into here, the options, and we will play with the self rotations here. So what we would like is play with the velocity amount here. So let's play with that. Now we should have more interesting things. We can play with the phase here and the randomized phase and the dynamic. And now you can see that you will have something that will rotate on itself. If you want to make the simulation less fast, for example, you could add another object, another force field here, and the force field is the drag, okay? And it will decrease the simulation velocity, the entire speed of the simulation. As you can see now, you will have something that will really make the simulation really different, okay? So the drag can be interesting in some cases, okay? And yeah, basically into the simulation range here, you can change some settings as well, but not for that one. So yeah, let's say that we will keep that. Maybe we could decrease a little the strength of this to have something less strong. But for what we have here, it will work as it is, okay? So basically now we have our animation and our objects that works well with our simulation. Now what we would like to do is create a nice scene with a nice render. So we will just do this with Eevee. So let's go for the shading, and for this we just need already some light. So let's go for this, a light and an HDRI setup. So let's go for this with the sun here, over there. We will create a nice sun, strong, so might be near 3 or 5, between 3 or 5, I would say that it will be good. Okay, let's go into render tab here. We will have something like this. Now I would like to increase to have a nice HDRI. So for this, I have a nice one that I did share to you already, I think. It's inside animating a logo. Here you have the HDRI, multi-nebula HDR. So let's go for this. We will just add this into our scene. So let's go there. We just click on color. We just go into environment texture or use the HDRI here, the easy HDRI like this. You just select the right folder. So let's go for this. I just copy and paste the right folder and accept this. So it will find this, create a world node, and you will have a nice space around your scene. So just like this, it will create something really realistic and looks good by default. So let's continue with that. And now what we would like to do is adding the textures into the planet. So we'll do something really simple that works, that is pretty efficient. Let's go into the shading option here over there, and let's play a little with the options. So we'll create this planet shader. Okay, we will add a texture. This texture will be a noise texture. This will be, I would say, an hybrid multifractal. Okay, we can just see a little this texture by default, how it looks. So we'll increase the gain. Should be strong, I would say. Increase the roughness as well. Increase the details and increase the scale. Okay. So, and by playing with these options, you should have something interesting. Yeah, it's the rigged multifractal. Okay, here you can see that you have something a little more interesting. Maybe the scale is too big, like for example 10 might be good. Yeah, and with this we can create already interesting things. So you just have to, now that you have this kind of nice pattern, as you can see, you can just add here a new converter, and this one will be a color ramp, is to create the entire planet color. Okay, so let's go for it. Now what we would like to do is just play with the sliders. Okay, and here you will find really interesting shapes. So we will go with let's say 2, 3, 4, 5 sliders might be enough to have something interesting. Okay, so the first color, it really depends of what you want to do with your planet, but let's say you will have a dark something darkish like this. We will go with a desert planet, something like that. Okay, good. The second one here, we will play with another one, might look a little more sandy. Okay, another one here as well. So this one, and just play with some variations that looks interesting to you. Okay, for example, here I go with something reddish here and a little darker. This one here will go with something a little different, maybe some green, not that much. Okay, and play with the sliders until you have something more interesting. And that one here might look a little different as well. Okay, maybe the green is not good in that area. I will tell something like a more yellowish. Okay, and that one maybe something a little different. Yeah, something bluish in that case, in my opinion, might look better. And then after you just play with the different sliders that you have, this one needs to be more dark. Something like this looks good, okay? And then after you just add something to play with to create a kind of atmosphere. So what you can do is remove here the IOR to have this kind of shader here. Maybe the scale is too big, maybe 5 might look a little better, even 3 maybe. Yeah, the details. Okay, decrease a little the details. Good. Roughness, increase that. Okay, you have something interesting in that area. What you can do as well is playing with the displacement, for example, if you want to add some. But first of all, I would like to add here a little effect that will create the atmosphere, very simple. So now we will search, we will add an input node. And this one will be a Fresnel, okay? So you can play with this one over there. So the Fresnel basically adds this kind of effect here. I will play it with a color ramp, okay, to have this kind of effect like this, okay? And we will add this into the color. So basically you can add this into with a new shader. Okay, so it will be another principle like this. That will be maybe something blue with a lot of roughness, and you will mix these two. So basically you will have this one that looks like this and this one that looks like that. And what you would like to do is create a mix shader, and this will be the mix between the two. Okay, so it's a little texture. It's a texture setup that might work for all the planets that you want. Now, in case you want, you can just add here some color options like the hue saturation value if you increase the saturation, for example, or play with the hue if you want different color of your planets. Okay, you can play with these options. So basically you will have a shader that looks like that. Okay, just maybe increase that a bit or go with something more reddish as it's a red planet. And then after you play with these options here to add more or less. Okay, so basically here you see that you have, yeah, this kind of option. Okay, let's say that our planet looks good. So now we have this planet and we would like some nice asteroids. So for this, we will play with just some basic textures as well. So let's go for the rock here. And into these rocks, we can just go there to see a little the result directly, hide the rests. Okay, so we want something really simple with a basic material, basic shader again. We will play with a texture. Okay, this texture will be again the same noise texture that we did use. So the rigged multifractal, okay, like this. Increase the number of detail, increase the roughness, increase the gain, good, and play a little with the scale, just like that. So just to have a basic texture that looks interesting, okay, the scale might make it something more interesting as well. Okay, good. So we just have a basic color like that. You can play with the colors, but mostly we will play with the normals and the displacement if needed. And we will add another one, another texture. This one will be a Voronoi texture like this. And we will add some damage into this. So let's go with a converter, color ramp. We want some dots. Yeah, something that looks a little like this. Okay, just to create some kind of damage into that. So let's mix that. There's two textures with a color mix, and now we will have this kind of texture. Basically, what we would like is just create a multiply. Like this, we will have the two that will overlap only the dark values of the texture. So it doesn't have to be the color here, but the factor, okay, to have this kind of here like that. What we would like is something more grayish for the first one. So for the color, I will go again with the converter color ramp, and maybe that one might be a little more gray. Something like this might look okay for what we want to do. And now I will play with a vector bump. So this bump here, I will plug the height here, and I should have now some normals that looks more or less like this, okay? So in case you see I want to increase that, so be careful to keep the realism, not too much. Maybe just a gray might look better, okay? But you can increase or decrease all of these textures to make it work more interesting, okay? So now I can plug this into the normals, and now I will have this kind of shader in the end, okay? Looks more interesting, right? More like something with roughness and more realistic for what we want to do. Good. So basically, this one will be the asteroid. And you can even plug the color if needed with another color ramp here. For example, you could even plug the colors here and play with different colors, like maybe something more brown if needed. Something like that might work well. You can see that it works pretty well. Now I will play with all these rocks. So what I will do, I will select the rocks, all of them, and this one at last, and make Ctrl L and link the materials like this. They will share the same material like that, okay? And now we will have the right shader. So let's come back without the asteroids, come back into the collection here, and now you will have this nice scene that works perfectly with the asteroids around, as you can see, okay? So what you could do to add a little more definition to that, and maybe make more the space glow effect, you can add some compositing into that. So I will show you how it works basically more in an entire chapter. The last chapter will be some compositing examples, but here let's just add a simple node, very simple one, just to create and see it directly into the 3D view. So to see it directly into the 3D view, what you can do, you go into the render here, and just to be sure that you will see that, just use the compositor always. So by default, now everything that you will add between these two nodes will create an entire effect for the scene. Me, I will just want to add filter glare, just simple like that. And this glare will be something that will be bloom. I will just go into the highlights, decrease the threshold, and you can see that you have this nice glow effect that will appear as you go in lower values here, okay? As you can see, it works pretty well. More you have some light, more it will appear. So be careful with these settings. With the settings, not too much is important. And what you can do as well here, maybe increase a little the shader of this one. So if you want to see that, be careful to enable this, okay? Let's select a rock, and I will just maybe add the shader to itself. Like this, it will glow a little more. As you can see now, you can see that it will take some time until it comes. Yeah, so now we have basically what we want. What you can do as well to make this scene a little more realistic is increase here the motion blur. So now when you will play this, you can see that you will have some nice motion blur that will appear, especially in render. So be careful, it might slow down a little your computer, but it looks already far better. So you can see that now you have a nice asteroid field that go around the planet just like this, okay? So that's it for this one. You can see that there is some texturing as well, just to make it a little more realistic and to have some better thing into the eye. But at least you have how to create a basic space scene just like this. So that's it for this one. In the next video, we will see how to simulate rigid bodies. In this video, we will see how to use rigid bodies to make some nice animations. So let's go just with basic Suzanne here. Okay, so let's say you have a monkey over there. And I will make a GZ just like that. And with Shift DZ a few times, I will just create a line of monkeys like this. I will just go with a plane over there, scale it up to receive the monkeys. So if I tell to Blender here into the physics that this one is a collision, not a collision, this one. It could be a collision, it will work as well, but the best in that case is to use rigid body and to put it as passive. It means that it's inside the rigid body world, but will not move and will not be affected by gravity. And if I tell to that one rigid body active and I make the same for all that ones, we will see that we have some shortcuts to make this more effectively. Okay, so I will just add just like that, very simply. Okay, again and again for that one. And now if I just play the animation, I will see all the little Suzannes that will fall down, okay, and will be affected by the gravity itself, okay? So it works well, no problem with that. But we have a few things to understand before starting make animations with that. So first of all, we can see that into these options, you have the mass here. So let's say, for example, here, if I tell that one, the one on top here, that it will be with far more mass, like let's say 100, for example. Okay, it will affect differently the simulation, and in the end, it will move all the others because it's more heavy. Okay, so it's important to understand this. You can manage the mass and see how it affects the simulation here. Okay, the second thing here is the convex hull. So what is the shape here? You can see that you have basically all these options that will transform a sphere around, that will put a sphere around Suzanne, or a box or a capsule or a cylinder, or a convex hull. What is a convex hull? Basically, a convex hull will be a kind of a shape like if you wrap some plastic film into it. Okay, so basically it will be this, and it will create a basic shape like this. It means that all the concave forms will not be affected by the simulation. A good example to show you that here, I will come back with a basic value here, is, for example, if I put a ball shape, like we would say that we want the Suzannes to fill a ball. Okay, so with this, I will just make a Shift D a few times. Okay, to have more Suzannes. We know that they have the option. So when you duplicate one, they will keep the active over there. And let's say we will add a ball under that. So let's make a really simple ball shape with a UV sphere, scale it up into edit mode, okay, to have this kind of shape. Then remove everything here. Okay, so I remove these vertices. Now I will just add a basic modifier, generate solidify. okay, that it will increase just like this to have a wall, okay, and apply that. It's important that the vertices, that the normals here has to be outside. If they are inside, it will not work properly, okay? So for example, here everything is outside because of the solidify modifier. But if, for example, I have only everything that is not well oriented, it will not work well, okay? So just to be sure to recalculate normals with this, with Shift N when you finish that, okay? But now, if by default I just go into the physics, enable the rigid body here, and tell it will be passive because I don't want the ball to fall down. If I keep the shape convex hull, you can see that they will fall into it. Because imagine if you wrap the ball with a plastic film, you will see that here you will have this film that will appear. So basically it's the best image I can give you to understand how it works. So if you use the real mesh, it will work well in that case, okay? And in that case, they will go inside and fill the ball, okay? So let's say we want more Suzannes, so we just go in front view, select all the Suzannes and with Shift DZ, okay? Like we really want to fill the ball. So more you will have objects in your scene, and for sure, it might slow down a little the simulation, but in that case, it's still okay for my computer, as you can see. And after everything is filled, you can stop. And if you want to apply here the simulation, you can select all the Suzannes, okay? Go there until there, and with one selected at least, and you can go to Object, Rigid Body here, and apply transformations, okay? And now you can remove the rigid body here. So like for example, for remove this, you just have to remove the rigid body itself by clicking here. And then after you go to Object, Rigid Body, and remove everything. It's not possible because I did it before like that, but you can remove with this shortcut, okay? So basically, it's here that you will see, and now you can see that in the beginning of the frame, you can see that they are already there. And you just have to go there into Object, Rigid Body, Remove. And now everything is removed. So now you can see that you have basically, you can make it with a bowl of cereals or fruits or that you want to put inside the shape. So it can be useful in that case, okay? So this is the first thing that you have to understand. The second thing that you have to understand with this, is that you can play with animated objects as well, okay? So for example, let's go with another basic scene. For example, here, you might take, let's go for another plane, okay? And you will have a cube, simple one. So this one will be a rigid body, passive, as we don't want it to move. And this one will be a rigid body active, okay? So I will just create a kind of basic shape with a few cubes like this, okay? With just over, but not inside, it's important. So I will duplicate this into the x-axis, okay? Something like this, and keep a little space between the objects, okay? So now inside view, I will make the same with Shift DY to have this kind of shape. Good. Then I select all the cubes, and with Shift DZ, I will make the same. So basically what it will do now, if I play the animation, you can see that now it will make something like this. It will just fall down. But if I add another object here, like a big object or something really really heavy, like a UV sphere over it, okay, with a rigid body that will go for 1000, okay, it might move everything like this, okay? Perfect. But if you want to play with an animated object, like for example, you will have another cube here in front view that will move from here, but with key animation, okay? That will move from here, with Y, I insert a key and go a little after until here with 140 and move it here into the other side and apply a key. So by default, it will make this simple animation, okay? So by default, it will go through it like that. If you just tell, okay, this object is like this, so I put a rigid body into it, it doesn't move, as you can see. You have to enable the animated option. Like these key animations will mix with dynamic settings here. And you can see that now it will make what we want, okay? So this is important to understand as well, okay? Here you have some other options like the surface response to add some friction or some bounciness if needed. You have the sensitivity, the collision margin. If you see, for example, this kind of behavior, like you launch your animation, your simulation, and everything is exploding everywhere, or it goes a little far, or with a strange behavior, just be sure that you have enough space between the objects, okay? Or increase or decrease this collision margin here, okay? So it can be important as well. So for example, here, we could make a chain, for example. Let's remove that one and put this in the beginning of the animation. And let's make a chain, a big chain over there. So for this, we will need a torus. And this will be the first link of the chain. Good. This torus will not move. This one will be a rigid body passive. It will stay over there. But the others, when I will duplicate this one with Shift D X here, I will put it as an active, and it's not a convex hull. It has to be the mesh because the object will not react well. So let's make X 90 degrees, okay? Put enough space between the objects. Then we make Shift D X, X 90 degrees again, and etc. with Shift D here, and even add more with Shift D again. Good, you will have this kind of shape easily. Good. So now if we play the animation, you can see that now you will have the chain that will affect the entire simulation, okay? And it can be, I went in edit mode, so it makes crazy things, but you can even, for example, tell that this one will be with a new shape like inside this object. So let's make a Shift S cursor to select it and add maybe a sphere like that, okay? And put it over there to make this kind of shape here. Good. To make the simulation work well now with this object, you have to recalculate the origin to the geometry. Like this, it will work better. And you can increase a little the mass, maybe put 10 kilos, okay? And as it's big here, maybe we can put this down a little bit. So let's see how it will react now. You can see that here we have the ball. Okay, it's not low enough. Put it near here. And let's see, the result works very well. So be careful, if you go too far with the mass here, for example, it might, for example, break the link. So it doesn't really break the link itself, but it goes through it if it's too low, too high values. Like if I put 5000 here, it might not you see, yeah, it did break somewhere. So on top, it didn't resist. So be careful with their settings. 100 might be okay. Yes. And create more motion over there. Okay, so this kind of motion can be really interesting in case you want to add a chain or you want to put objects really easily on the surface or something like that. So it works pretty well. It can be for other tasks as well. For example, sometimes I make some 3D printing and I make a character, okay? And let's say I want to test if this character will stay on the earth, okay, without falling, if the modeling is well done, if the feet are big enough. So I can use this as well to test it if my figurine will be stable or not. Okay. So another example that I want to show you is something very simple but can work very well for Christmas animation, for example. So let's play with that. We will just add new objects in the scene. So we will add a plane, okay, and this plane will receive the simulation, so it will be a rigid body passive, just like this. Now we will create a very simple gift box. So let's do that by adding a mesh. This mesh will be a cube for sure. And this cube, we will modify it a little. But first of all, let's call it gift box. And this is the ground. Good. So now we have our gift box. We want a real gift box. We don't want something a little poor like this. So what we will do, we will just duplicate this box. And this one, this will be the gift box top. Okay, good. Maybe we can hide the ground for now, as we will focus more on the box itself. So what we will do, we'll just, on this one, make a Control R like this to have this kind of shape and remove these vertices. Okay, simple. Now, what we can do is make a little Alt S to make it grow a little, just a bit, just like that. Like this, it's over it. And in case you want, but it's not really necessary, but in that case, we can add maybe a little solidify to have something, to have a little thickness over there, just to have something like this. Good. So we just want simple shapes. Maybe in the end we can add some bevel modifier or something, but just want simple shapes over there. Then we will make the same to duplicate again this one. And this one will be the ribbon. Ribbon in English? I think it's ribbon. Let's go like that. And this one will be another shape that we will model from this one. So let's make an Alt S like this. It's over everything. Just a bit like this. Good. And now we'll make the basic shape. So what we can do, we make a link like that. We make a loop like that with Control R. And with Control B, we make this kind of shape. Now with Control Y, we remove the other vertices. And we'll have a basic shape like this. Now we can make Shift D, RZ, 180. RZ, sorry, 90 degrees. Like this, we'll have this. A basic ribbon shape. Good. So we will just increase a little that shape with Alt S and add a modifier, generate, solidify. Just a simple one like this. Good. And maybe just very quickly, we could add, for example, some vertices here that we will duplicate, okay? And in front view, in side view, sorry for that one, we can make a kind of shape like this that will remind that we have a kind of little shape like that, okay? And I can make F here. So we have a basic shape like this, and we can add a modifier, generate subdivision surface into it. So this one might be the knot. So we can separate this and make the subdivision surface before this one. On the good object, not this one, this one, it will look better, okay? But before the solidify modifier, and it will look better, okay? So like this, we can just even add a mirror modifier, just like this, into the Y here. So like this, we'll have a basic shape, just like this. Okay, so basically, we'll make a shade auto smooth, and basically we'll have the shape of our box. What I would like is to parent everything, all these objects, to this object. So I will make Control P and set parent to this object. Like this, I can have here a basic option that just by selecting the give box itself, all the other objects will follow, okay? And like this, I can create some variations of shapes like this. So what you can do is just create very basic shaders with that. And what can be good as we will duplicate the object is to create some variations of the shader and some variations of the color. And in that really simple option, what we will do, we'll just create an HDRI, sorry. So I will go into my HDRIs, okay, create a wall now just to have a basic shader over it, just like that, okay? And to can see a little what will happen. Maybe we'll choose another one that looks better. Okay, maybe that one. And in that case, we will just go there and enable the ray tracing. Like this, we have better reflections. Okay, good. So now what we can do, we can create our shaders. So we can go into the shading, and what we will do, we'll duplicate all these objects with two other objects, just like that. Like this, we will see the result. But first of all, let's add the materials and the shaders, okay? So for that one, it will be the ribbon. So let's call it ribbon. Good. And this one, it will be the ribbon as well. This one, it will be the box. You can even create some variations for the box top and the box bottom, for example. But let's make just a simple, or let's make both. Okay, box top. Good, and box bottom. Or body. Good, so we have three shaders here. What we will do, we'll duplicate that and see the result because we want to have some randomness on these shaders. How to add some randomness? You have random values, I guess. And these random values are into the object info. So let's go there and search for object. We can see some object random here. And what is good with that, let's create a simple for the box body here with a basic color that we will add just by add an RGB, just like this, okay? And we will add another node here, and this node will be mix color, use saturation value, okay? So if we add a basic color like that, so we can go to the blue, for example, okay? But if you play with the hue, you see that it changes the color. Okay, so let's go with the random here, and you can see that now you will have different colors into that. And if I duplicate again with Shift D, you can see that I will have another color. So it's very easy to create simple variations like that with this system. Very simple, actually. So what we want is something with not that much roughness, some metalness, just like this, okay? And what we want as well is create some other variations for that. So maybe for this, we will make the same for the top, okay? To just have the same kind of settings, you just duplicate this system with, not with Control C, with Shift D, sorry, just with Control C. Okay, you copy, there's 3 nodes, and then you just come to the next shader and make Control V. Like this, you have the same kind of settings, but with another color. Okay, and now you have other colors like this. And same for the ribbon. Let's go for it. Control V. And now I can put even another color over this, like this. The same for these ones, they will be with a little roughness, a little more metallic. The same for this, okay, some metalness, and not that much roughness like this. Okay, now you will have this kind of boxes that looks already better. And what is good with this system is that when you have a box like this, you can just duplicate it, and look, it will be another color. So very easy to make these multiple objects that we want to create, because we want to make some gift fall from the sky. So we want different shapes as well. So what we will do for that, we will just create some simple variations by just select this one, okay, in the end. And for this, we will just go there. So we will make some duplication. Okay. Duplication again, duplication again, duplication again, and duplication again. Maybe a few like that, okay? Might be 9 different shapes, okay? Maybe this one we will make an SY. Maybe this one a SZ. Maybe this one as Shift D. Maybe this one as X, okay? And you will create new shapes very easily like this, okay? So just with that, with the simple options, you will have different shapes. Good. So now you have your shapes just like this. What you can do now is tell that all the bodies, only the bodies here, will be affected by the simulation. So we'll go into the physics finally. Let's go with rigid body, okay? And let's put them active. So it will be a convex hull basic. And we will make the same for all these other objects. So to doing this very easily, you select all the objects, this one at last, and you go into the object, rigid body, and copy from active. Like this, everyone will have the same kind of options. Good. Now with that object selected, we can create big or not big objects, but first of all, let's scale down everything. And in front view, I will just put this like that, okay? And then I just duplicate these ones. So let's make Shift D, maybe scale this down to have different variations, okay? And Shift D and scale this up to have again different variations. Make a rotation maybe into the Z-axis like this. And again, you select everything and you make Shift D, Z, RZ, and you will have a nice effect. And like that, you will have a nice simulation here. So let's say you add a nice light and everything, or maybe a background like we did for creating a nice studio. And then after, you just play your animation and it will work perfectly. So I might increase a little that, put this here. It's a passive, so it should work pretty well. As you can see, all the gifts are going down and fall perfectly on the ground. So yeah, it's not that complicated to do. And you can see that you can have really great results. Over it, you can add some nice here motion blur and it will look even better, as you can see. So yeah, that was another example on how to create a simple animation with that. I will make maybe a last duplication with all of them to have more. Like really, you have a lot of gifts for Christmas. You are really lucky. Okay, so all of this will work well perfectly. Good. Let's say you want to change a setting. Okay, so for example, you will tell that it's a little too heavy and you want something with a mass that is less big. So let's go into the physics and tell 0.2, for example, to make it more light. And but you want all the others to be the same. So what you do, you just select all of them like this, okay? And what you can do now is with the one that you did change, so at last with 0.2, let's say it will be that one, you go into Object, Rigid Body, and Copy from Active. So now all the other objects will be effective the same way. So now you will create same animation, but with less big mass effect on it. Okay? So that's it for this kind of animation. You see that you can create really nice things easily with the rigid bodies. So don't hesitate to experiment with that. I would like to just show you other little options that you have here. You see that here you can create some fluids, some smoke as well. Honestly, smoke and fluids in Blender are not really well implemented, in my opinion, to create really realistic things. So I prefer to use other softwares to make this more realistically. You will have the possibility to create some dynamic paint, and this one is important and interesting, but it would be really too long to cover. But you can make an object paint into another object, so it would be good, for example, to create some steps on the ground when a character is walking on the ground. So you will add some painting into it, for example, like this. It can work like this. And you have other here modifiers into the physics sections here. You can see that one that we didn't see, and it's the one that I used to create, that I did use to create the screen here that I have. Okay. So it's that one that I did create the ocean with. And for this, it's quite simple. You just add to this one. I will just hide all of this by select with Control Y. I will just hide all of this. And in this, without the light, I can add modifier ocean. It will be physics ocean like this. And you can see that you will have directly something interesting. You can repeat it if needed to have something bigger like this, okay? So be careful if you have this kind of effect, it's in the view setting. You have here the possibility to increase the end, like for example, like this, okay? Like this, you see more what's happening. and you have the possibility to change the waves. For example, if you want to scale it up to increase the sharpness or not, you see that you want something more like this, you can increase the velocity here, the alignment or not. So yeah, it can be really interesting in some cases to work with that. And you can generate foam as well, and this foam will be you can add a name here, and you can add this into your shader as well. It's same for the spray and things like that. So and it's animated, fully animated. So in that case here, you can see that if you go over there, into the baking option, you can bake the simulation and after play with this, okay, and it will give you a nice animation to work with. Okay, so this one can be interesting in some cases as well. I just wanted to show you that one. So we finished with the simulations. Now we will play with the armature. We did see how to make an animation with a simple character. Now I would like to show you how to create the armature itself. So this kind of skeleton that you put inside the character to deform it and to move it. So we will see how it works basically in the next videos.